Hello everybody, welcome to another edition of the Joel and Jameson Show. I'm Jameson Melby with RE/MAX Results.
And I'm Joel Gray with Citizens One. Another great show here we got for you guys today. We are going to dive into seller questions that we've received now from the outside. And we're going to break it down here by just kind of going back and forth on some of those questions.
Yeah.
Do you want to start or should I?
I'll fire off the first question for you. How's that?
Let's do it.
All right. So the first question we have here is, how can I determine how qualified the buyer is that's purchasing my home?
Yeah, great question. And this is probably one that you want. Most importantly here is,
Yeah.
so we as a lender are obviously going to be issuing either pre-qualification letters or pre-approval letters, right? Pre-qualification, we've talked about this in the past.
Throw them out.
That's pretty much just meaning that your credit is good enough to continue, right?
Yeah.
That's it. Pre-approval, we've gone through, we've verified income, assets, those kind of the main gritty things that we need. That's going to be more of a solid pre-approval, right? Along with the credit. We can really look at debt to income ratio and see what you're qualified for, how much you can do for a down payment so that it accurately reflects what you're going to with your real estate agent and be like, this is what I'm looking at.
Yeah, definitely. If I get a pre-qualification letter on a listing,
You send them going back.
it's not going to work. We
Yeah.
need a pre-approval, talk to the loan officer, find
Yeah.
out if there's conditions. Pre-qual is okay, to start out with.
Correct.
As a
Maybe it's
buyer,
like 6 months down the road or something.
and a realtor, but when you
Yep.
make an offer on a property,
Yep.
you have to have that pre-approval.
Yeah,
You have to.
absolutely. And good communication, that's another one.
Yeah.
You got to have good communication as a seller with your agent, who's communicating with the buyer's agent and then the lender, right? So as lenders, we can only say so much to the listing agent. And the listing agent is the seller's agent, right?
Correct.
The selling agent is the buyer's, right?
Correct.
So that's how you got to
Correct.
think of it. And as lenders, we're working for our buyers and their agent, so we're really not able to communicate and specify certain things to the listing agent.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. And
So
that's
it's-
where we have agency relationships.
Correct.
Depends
That's why
on-
it's good to have that.
Yeah, it depends on who you represent.
Yes, absolutely. And on top of that, strong earnest money. We've talked about that, right? The larger
Yeah.
the earnest money down, typically the more vested they are in that property. $200 earnest money. I've seen it before. I've seen it, but $200 compared to say $25,000 or $30,000, right?
Yes.
Some people are doing that.
Yes.
That's a little bit different, and obviously, that could also mean higher purchase price too, right? You could be a
Yeah.
million purchase price compared to maybe a $50,000 to $100,000 purchase price. It just
Yeah.
depends, but
Yeah.
still, that could mean something, and then also type of financing, right?
Right.
So, not throwing anything against an FHA loan. Or those smaller down payment programs, but typically, your stronger conventional 20% down, they're a little bit stronger typically.
Yeah.
Not like I said, nothing against it, but typically those are your stronger ones, and that's something that as a seller plays into fact, especially if there's multiple offers on a house, right?
Oh yeah. If we have multiple offers and somebody's putting down $50,000, somebody's putting down $5,000,
Yep.
we're going to go with the one with more money
Yeah.
down.
Yep. And also closing time too, right? This person
Right.
needs to be in and out, or this person needs like 3 months because maybe they're saving for it, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So those are kind of some of the common ones.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, I got one here for you, Jameson. What are things I can do to sell my home for top dollar?
Yeah, top dollar. So when I go to a house for the first consultation, usually they're not ready to list at that point. And that's where I can give them pretty basic, advice on what to do. And then depending on what commission plan they choose, I always, really heavily recommend the stager, because that's what they do. That's their full-time job, is staging houses. So what they can do is come through and give you a room by room list of things that you can do to declutter, make the house more appealing to more people. We want to look clean, we want to look decluttered, and that makes the rooms as big as possible. So that's really the biggest thing, is having that done.
Cost on that? What does it typically range?
Well, so I cover the staging
Yep.
consultation in my listing package. So
Excellent.
it doesn't cost you anything. Now, if they're looking at having the stager physically stage the house,
Yep.
put furniture in, they negotiate that with the stager
Cool.
directly. So I put them in touch for the consultation. Again, doesn't cost them anything out of pocket.
Yep.
Having the professional photos done is huge. So if you do
Yes.
the staging, the professional photos, those are things we do to get more money for the house. I've mentioned before having the house pre-inspected. So a buyer typically is going to have an inspection done, but if you have the inspection done ahead of time, again, I cover that in my plan, then you can make the repairs yourself, or you can hire somebody to make those repairs.
It's such a smart idea when you think about it.
Why would you not do it? Really?
I mean, it is so key to do that, especially because if you have friends or family, a lot of people build a sphere of people that they go to. So you usually have a general contractor or whatever it may be. You can take care of that stuff up front and save yourself money on negotiating.
Well, money and hassle.
And time.
So when you have the offer accepted, let's say from a buyer, and then we're closing in 4 weeks, and they give you this 15 item list of repairs. If you're doing it then, that's stressful. And you're trying to buy a house, you could have done these things a month and a half ago.
Dealt with that
on your time, your dollar.
Especially if you're selling it, it's going to be coming up. Right?
So, exactly. So those are all things we can do. And then again, with my top plan, we put a home warranty on the house.
Yep.
All of these things will help your house sell fast, and they'll help sell for top dollar. So those are really a lot of proactive things we can do, that I do to help get houses sold for as much as we possibly can.
Yeah. Great. Yeah. Great questions.
So Joel, we have another question here for you.
Okay.
How can I ensure my home is sold on time and quick from a seller's standpoint?
I think the words just kind of came out of your mouth a little bit from that last question, because of your plan, right? So if your agent has a plan that's set up, it's just going to make it that much quicker. On a lender standpoint, we want to just make sure that whenever we are requesting stuff on pertains to the purchase contract or title, that maybe we have a proactive agent.
Right.
And there's good agents and there's bad agents, just like there's good loan officers and bad loan officers.
Right.
But somebody that's motivated and wants to get out there, that really helps. How often, and it happens because contracts are anywhere between 10 to hundreds of pages long, depends on the situation. But there can be some clerical errors in there, right? It happens, and we sometimes have to go back and get it fixed or whatever it may be. So making sure that your agent is actively involved really makes it speedy on that part. Make sure that your ducks are aligned on your own financing. A lot of these people that are selling homes are buying homes, right? Replacing what they're doing. So make sure that your financing is good so that you're set to go and it's not slowing up the other process.
Right.
And then repair items, which you covered. Basically, you need to make sure that you know what's going on with your house prior to selling it. It's going to save yourself a lot of time and money and headaches.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
Yeah.
Right.
Getting pre-approved is so important because if let's say we get that great 20% down, conventional offer, no inspection, they want to close in 4 weeks.
And you haven't done anything on your eyes as a seller.
And if you're not pre-approved, you need to buy a house, you're scrambling.
Yes.
So the more proactive, and that'll be a theme you keep hearing over and over from us, is being proactive on doing as much as you can upfront to save yourself and save us the hassle, just to have success in your transaction. That's the biggest thing we're trying to do, is set you up to win, not fail.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So do we have another question?
Yeah, we do. I got one here for you.
All right.
Open houses, are they good or bad?
Open houses, very interesting. So one thing I like to do is ask my sellers, what do you think about open houses? Because some really love them, some don't. And then I tell them my opinion is that I've not sold one house from somebody walking in the open house and buying that house. I've sold other houses from people that walk in, and that house might not be a good fit. I sell them something else. But the metric we can't track is if a neighbor comes into your house and they tell a friend or a family member about that house and they book a showing with an agent, the point of origination came from the open house.
Yep.
But it looks like it came from that agent. Same goes for just random people coming in. We have people that like to go to open houses for fun, but then again, it's more eyes on your property. They tell somebody about it, they book a showing, it's a good deal. And even if people can't make it to the open house, we're sending out brochures, we're running Facebook ads. So really, there's a lot of marketing that goes on around hyping up the event itself of the open house that gets people clicking on the virtual tour, gets people on the website.
Virtual tours are huge now, right?
And gets inquiries. So it's not just holding it open for those 2 hours. It's all the marketing that goes into promoting the open house that actually is promoting the house itself for sale.
I got a little side question to that. So do you have price ranges or price categories that you tend to have more open houses for than others, or do you try and do it on every single one that you do?
No. So what I do is I have 3 commission plans, and it depends on what plan you pick, how
Okay.
much marketing goes into
Yep.
each one. So I have a mega open house event. I have an open house, and then I have open houses are optional. So
Yep.
most sellers love the open house. It's one of the few times they can see us actually working.
Yep.
We do a lot of work on the back end.
Correct.
A
Yes,
lot of
behind
things
the scenes.
that they don't
Yep.
see us doing. They can physically see that we're at their house at that time. So
Mm-hmm.
the sellers like it. But like I said, it depends on what plan they're going with, how much marketing
Yeah.
happens for each one. But I
Interesting.
think open houses are great.
I think it's good for people to kind of understand that.
Yeah,
Awesome.
definitely. So we have another question here, Joel. Why does it take lenders longer to close on a condo than, let's say, a single-family house?
This is a really good question, and it really comes down to we are not just working with a seller now. We are working with not only the seller, but we're working with the condo association itself.
Oh, yeah.
And condo associations, there's some loan officers that will not touch any condos. They just don't want to deal with
Right.
it. And some just can't, right? They're not able to offer lending on it. The biggest thing is, and this is where I really enjoy working with the listing agent when I can, and the buyer's agent as well, is working with them really upfront to get the direct contact for the condo, get in there, get all the documents, whether hand deliver it or email it over. Some of the larger condo associations, they have websites where you go in and submit for the forms that we need as a lender, right? Condo certain.
Beautiful when they have those available.
Yes, it is super nice. So getting that done up front is major. The other aspect is if we are, a lot of local areas or larger banks that are dealing with some of the larger condo associations, a lot of time we have them already approved in our system.
Yep.
Which then we can really streamline it, right?
Yeah.
Because we already have kind of what we need, and depending on what type of financing you're doing, you can have a full condo review, a streamlined review, or just kind of a moderate one. It just depends, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So they're typically about 45 to 60 days, I would say, on a condo. Just depends on where it's located, if it's newer development or not newer development, if it's age restrictions. There's just all sorts of stuff that you got to come into play.
Right.
It takes additional time.
Yeah.
So that's why the prep work up front is there. Whereas, a normal single family home, it's typically 30 days or less, depending on the situation.
Right. Well, the other thing too is making sure if you're using an FHA loan,
Yes,
that
that too.
association is FHA approved.
Yep. Or VA, right?
I have one pending right now with a conventional buyer, so he's fine.
Yep.
But the association, there were some that we were looking at
Yes.
weren't approved for FHA. He could not have bought. Again, he's conventional, so he was fine. But if you're using that FHA, you have to do some homework ahead of time.
Correct.
To make sure you're not looking at condos or townhouses that aren't going to work.
Yep, and that's why you contact your lender, right? Because they have access to those FHA websites and VA websites, the VA portal, to check whether or not these are VA or FHA approved. So that's another thing, and they can also look up to see if there's age restrictions on it. A lot of times, that's mainly if you're buying, like, let's say a condo down in Florida or something where it could be an age restriction. But
senior
they're around
community.
here too, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I'm going to kind of go back here because I skipped this question, but I wanted to come back to it a little bit here. So we talked about repairs a little bit. Do I need to make repairs or upgrades to my home? Right? I know we kind of touched on it a little bit, but in your feeling, do I need to do this?
Well, so the thing is it's a case-by-case basis, and that's why it's important. When we're meeting with the clients for the first time, we can counsel you on what needs to be done. Most often, you don't have to make any repairs to your property. It's in good shape.
Yeah.
It's updated, things like that. Now, if I see something, let's say you're in a price range $450 plus, and you have laminate countertops. All of your competition has granite countertops. I'm going to suggest that we put the money into those granite countertops so you're not selling in the lower end of the price range. I talk about houses based on, the year built, age, school district, things like that. You have a certain price range your house is worth, and if somebody needs to put work into that property, it's going to sell in the lower range than it could if all of the work was done. So we're going to look at that. We're going to look at, are the colors in your house neutral? If your daughter loves that hot pink, well, guess what? The next buyer might not like that. So we might tone
Grays,
that down.
whites, the blues, those are kind of coming back,
things
right?
like that. We can counsel you through that. The stager can counsel you through these things too. So we're not going to just tell you to do things that don't make sense. These are only things that will help your house sell fast, will help it sell for more money, and things just make sense. You know, let's say if your roof is in horrible condition, it's curling, yes, replace the roof, you know, things like
Exactly.
that. But again, it's very case by case. A lot of people come to me saying that they're afraid to find out how much work they have to do. And when I give them a list of things, they're very happy to realize it's not as bad as they
Correct,
thought
yeah.
it was.
No,
Yeah.
that's good.
So yeah, case by case.
Good questions here. So these were some good questions that we had pertaining to sellers. I think that there's always going to be additional questions that come up. So feel free to contact either one of us. I think with our expertise and how long we've been in the industry, one of us should be able to get those answered for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, anything else?
Yeah, so if you're watching this on Facebook, again, if you guys comment on these posts, if you like them, if you share them, that helps us tremendously with the ever-changing Facebook algorithm, getting the word out so we can help more people. The spring market is coming.
Yeah,
we need as much help as possible to reach as many people as possible and educate them on the process.
Plus, hopefully it helps you as you're going in through this process, whether or not you use either of us, right? It's just going to spread, and hopefully you become more knowledgeable about home buying and selling and real estate. Maybe you end up wanting to get into that yourself.
Right.
You know, the younger generation coming up. But yeah, thanks again for tuning in, and take care.
Yeah, see you next week.